Hello and welcome to the Profitable Coach Podcast. I'm your host, Kimberly Rich, and as the founder of the Bold Life Movement and a fellow coach for more than 7 years, I know the challenges that many of you face when launching or growing your coaching business. And I'm here to pull back the curtain on the coaching industry and help you overcome roadblocks to make the impact you were born to make. Each week, I'll be interviewing successful coaches from every corner of the industry to share exactly how they have managed to generate massive impact and income. From strategy to psychology, we cover it all. This show is presented to you by Transformation Academy, a global marketplace of courses and coaching certifications. So whether you are already part of our epic community or you're brand new to this show, if you're ready to learn what it takes to turn your passion for service into a profitable business, then keep listening. You are in the right place. Welcome to episode 32 of the Profitable Coach Podcast. Today I'm chatting with Bre Cain, and it is such an inspiring conversation. This is our last interview in the 7-figure series, and I really love how we've taken you on a journey from Sam Altieri talking about, slow and steady winning the race in terms of how she created 7 figures, and then ending with Bre today, where we really show that it can happen quite quickly if you lean into a very specific niche and you look at how to help other people achieve what you have achieved for yourself. So in today's conversation, Bre pulls back the curtain on how she went from being a VA. She decided to offer VA services to create some side hustle for her and her family, and then quickly saw that there was an opportunity to coach other moms on how to create the same level of freedom for themselves. So we talk about how Bre created her Mom to VA program, scaled it, and now has an agency where she helps to place VAs with other coaches, and really has taken herself from 0 to 7 figures in under 2 years. So I want to highlight this incredible story and really let Bre tell it for herself. So without further ado, please welcome our incredible guest today, the one and only Bre Cain. Hey guys, real quick before you start the podcast episode, I wanted to let you know about a very special promotion that we're running just for the month of February, just while we're doing the 7-figure series. One of the things that you'll notice as you listen to the episodes in this series is that every single person I'm interviewing has one thing in common. It's their ability to master their mindset. It's their ability to shift their beliefs around abundance, around what's possible for them, and around what it takes to really bring that to life. So in the spirit of helping you to become a master of your mindset, we wanted to offer you a 50% discount on any of our mindset certification courses. So if you want to take advantage, head to theprofitablecoach.com/mindset and grab your discounted certification now. With that, enjoy the episode. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Profitable Coach Podcast. I have with me today the one and only Bre Cain. Bre, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy and excited to be here with you.
Yeah, and for some extra spice, if you're not watching this on YouTube, I highly recommend that you do, because Bre and I happen to be twinning today in somewhat matching shirts. So it's very clear that we're on the same frequency, and I'm really excited to dive into this conversation.
I know, it's so funny. And we were joking too. It's like the first time that we both wore these shirts.
Clearly on the same wavelength today. So as you know, if you've been listening, we are rounding out our 7-figure series for the month of February. And I'm really looking forward to this conversation with Bre because she has a unique perspective to bring to the table. And I think that there's a lot of wisdom that she can offer new coaches on the scalability factor. Like, what is it that needs to happen both internally and externally in your business to shift who you are being at a 5-figure coach, and what it takes to move up to a 7-figure coach. So Bre, will you peel back the curtain a little bit, go back in time, tell us what was your catalyst into coaching, and how did you first get started?
Yes. Oh, I love this question. So rewinding even further, when I grew up, I thought that success and worth and accomplishments was climbing the corporate ladder. Went to college, did all those things. I had a great job. And then I had my first daughter. And when I had her, literally everything changed. I originally did go back to work, but I only made it 3 months and I pretty much cried every day. I realized that my priorities had completely shifted as a woman, a wife, a mom, a human. But it was also kind of terrifying. It's like everything that I thought that I was and how I measured like my success and accomplishments didn't really mean anything anymore. But in motherhood, I really found out like what I was passionate about and who I was. And that really started this journey into where I am now. And it was about 5.5 years into stay-at-home motherhood, adding a couple kids. I now have 3 young girls. Finances were really tight on a single income, my husband's income. And I was at this point where I thought that I had to go back and get a 9 to 5. And I really didn't want to do that. You know, having the taste of freedom and flexibility, probably the reason that all of you who are listening started your coaching business. It was hard to imagine giving that up. And so I started looking around at different options and opportunities. And to add also some context too, in the interim before that, I did do direct sales. Like when I left my corporate career, I was like, I still want income, flexibility, connection, autonomy, all of that. And so direct sales was really fun. Met some friends, got to travel. I did see some success, but it felt like this constant hustle and grind. And my husband had said to me, he's like, all that time and energy you're putting into someone else's business, what if you put that into your own? And so that was kind of what started like eyes wide open. What could I do of my own? And I had no idea, absolutely no idea. And I started investing in mentors and like kind of showing up, following the strategy, all of that, but it wasn't really going anywhere. 6 months time total, I'd earned $132 total. And that was where I was like, oh, really got to figure something out. Like my husband's like 9 to 5, like, you know, I'm like, no, I can't do it. And this is where like the magic unfolded. Was I got scrappy and I got resourceful. I was like, there's no plan B. I'm not going back to a 9 to 5. I found the virtual assistant industry and in 3 days had booked a $2,000 a month client. And within 30 days had booked 4 dream clients. My first full month as a VA, I earned $5,000. And I was like, what is this sorcery? Like, what is this? Why are people not shouting it from the rooftops? This is literally like the most incredible way for moms to have tangible, consistent income from home on a flexible schedule. And once I did that and I just started like talking about what I was doing, my DMs were flooded. I was like, what are you doing? And can you show me how to do that? And so that started my coaching program, Mom to VA. And it was just like took off. Wildfire. Like, you know, the first week I launched the beta and had like 8 students in there and I was like, what? And like plus the VA income. I'm like, what is going on? And we'll go into like all like what actually went on to make that happen. But that was amazing. So that was last January 2023. So January 2024, I've served over 200 students in Mom to VA. In January 2024 alone, we enrolled 43 students into Mom to VA. And now it's this beautiful part of my offer suite, but I also have other programs, and I launched a VA agency to connect coaches with VAs. And it's just from that one, like finding something that transformed my own life and, you know, wanting to help other women experience that transformation too. And it has led to the most beautiful business. And I think the really cool part for all of you guys listening is that these things don't have to take a long time. You know, it was December 2022 was a $70 month. 13 months later was an $80,000 cash month. So it can go really fast when you are dialed into not just it's like, you know, finding something that changed your life that you're passionate about. And then how can you help others experience that transformation too? That's the magic.
Totally. I think that a lot of people who are first starting out overcomplicate it because they get bogged down with words like niche and, you know, your core offer and things like that, when it's like, take it back to the basics. What is a transformation that you have accomplished in your own life? Why was it so meaningful to you? And then how can you find other people who want that type of transformation? And how can you lead them through the process? Like, how can you shortcut their journey to success?
Absolutely. That's exactly it. It's like having supported now, I help coaches launch and scale their business too. And it's this, who am I to teach this? Like, I don't feel like I'm an expert, but it's exactly what you said. It's self-education. Like, what is the process that you took yourself through to experience your own transformation? And you're helping people 1 year, 2 years, or 1 or 2 steps behind you. They want what you figured out.
Exactly. It doesn't need to be that you are 10 steps down the road. It really could be 1 to 2 steps behind you. And it's a really great practice in continuing to lean into your discomfort around being the expert who knows everything, because all you have to know is enough about one thing that a handful of people would pay to figure out and not have to spend hours on YouTube, right? So tell me a little bit more about what your offer suite evolution has looked like, because $2K or $100 or whatever up to $80K, like there's some offerings that have come onto the table.
Yes, absolutely. And I think this gets to be the really fun part of business too, is that there's so much learning and unfolding that happens in the being and the doing, and just like being in motion. So first it was, I found the VA industry, and then it's like, okay, I can show other women how to do this and how to crush this. And to what you just said too, is like reverse engineering your process. When you're in action, a lot of times you're like, I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm just moving forward. Then you look back and you're like, oh, okay, so I did this, which led to this, and then it led to this. So was mom to VA, like literally just reverse engineering my process of how I booked out my business so quickly and giving them the tools to do that. And then as I grew that coaching business and mom to VA just took off, I had coaches coming into my DMs saying, Bre, like, how did you do this? Can you teach me how to like do the coaching business side like you did? I don't really want to be a VA, but I want to scale my coaching business. And so it was that combined with, I also had students in Mom to VA that were absolutely crushing it. And they're like, I want to do what you're doing now. Like, I want to teach other women how to become VAs. And so then I built on that Audacious, my inner circle mastermind, which is it's like the, what Mom to VA is to the VA industry. Audacious in my program and their $1 Million Mom is that's like the meat and potatoes of how to launch and scale a coaching business. And so it was just like the next evolution as I continued to help people with their transformations. It was like, and as I continued to evolve and grow myself, it was like, what's the next step for me and my people? And then from there was just naturally, and especially like getting in the room in communities, people were like, oh, Bre, she's the VA one, like talk to her if you need a VA. And so, every week I would have at least 1 to 2 coaches coming to me and say, hey, I'm ready to hire. Can you help me find my VA? And they loved hiring from Mom to VA because all these women had gone through the program, super solid business foundations, like solid brand, they'd invested in their skill sets. So they valued like how they were showing up for their VA business. So I was constantly helping coaches find VAs. And funny enough, I think it's just the power of getting in the room. One of my coaches from a program that I took almost a year ago, so it was last February, he was my coach. He was like, accountability coach for this program. But that program went super well. I implemented all the learnings, and he started sending me his other students to help them find VAs, and like constant. So last fall, he's like, Bre, like, I feel like we could do something with this. Like, what if we started like a business? So we started building out the agency, and we officially launched in January, just this past month. And like we haven't, but it's funny because we haven't even like publicly like put this big like push or launch, and it's just so organic. Like, all my friends that are coaches are like, can we affiliate for your agency? Because we have constantly have students, that come in and like need VAs. So that's been super fun. And then the last component, and it's just, I think in sharing this, the biggest thing I want you all to know that are listening in is it gets to be this evolution where as you grow and evolve, your business does too, and so do your students. And so it's like the next logical step just unfolds. So the last piece of my offer suite, which I just launched February 1, is 7-Figure Society, which is my new membership. And what it really is, I realized there was a gap in my offer suite because I love business strategy. Like I can build out your 7-figure offer suite in seconds. But for the strategy to work, first, there needs to be a shift in a state of being and identity And then the strategy is effortless. And, through my own journey, it's like earning $132 in 6 months, like something is missing. I'm following all the business strategy and it's not working. Yeah. It's this part. And so that's why I launched the last piece of my offer suite, 7-Figure Society, is this is the most important part that you have to shift before, your business, it's like magic money and like clients falling into your DMs wanting to pay you.
And so what do people get when they come into the 7-figure offer? Wait, how do you say it? 7-Figure Society.
Yes. Yeah. 7-Figure Society. So I'm like obsessed with it. So what it is, it's monthly membership. And I created like a core curriculum. It's called the Prosperity Pathway. It's a 5-step pathway that I took myself through to, first those $132 in 6 months total. Then I shifted and it was like, instantly my business blew up. It's that process. And it really is that deep inner work, aligning your state of being and your identity with your future self and showing up as her. And a lot of it is like, unraveling subconscious knots, like, money mindset and imposter syndrome, and like neurologically rewiring your subconscious to be the person that your business needs, not now, but like 6 months, a year from now, and like showing up as her today. And the outer world quickly follows suit to that. So Prosperity Pathway. And then what I also am obsessed with for 7-Figure Society is it's not just me. We have wealth coaches that come in and teach on their modalities and practices and topics. So for example, in February, we have someone this Friday who's doing a 7-figure identity hypnosis. We have another wealth coach that she's actually my bookkeeper and she's a generational wealth coach. So she's teaching on like practical, tangible money management stuff to set you up for 7 figures. And then we also have a style psychology coach coming in February who's like cool. Teaching on how to dress as your 7-figure self. And, every month will be different. But yes, there's that. There's the community, visualizations. And it's really just a space to like plug into, to elevate like who you are, like, just boost like, ooh, okay, here I am. Hello.
I love that. The embodiment piece, I think, gets forgotten about so often when people are first joining like the business coaching community and they're trying to learn the tricks and the strategies and they want to know what to do. And they forget so much of it is about who are you being? How are you showing up and how are you feeling? How are you practicing feeling? Right. And so I think that it sounds like a really, really juicy space. Okay. So I want to take it back to when you started to help people become VAs. At what point did you shift from being a VA to coaching people on how to be VAs to hiring your own VA?
Love that question. It actually happened really fast because what it was, just talking about was like reverse engineering your process. I realized very quickly, I've cracked the code. I know how to like book clients and I can help people do that. And so, probably within the same month of booking out my business, and this is the strategy I teach too, is, monetize as you make it. You don't need to have the full program built out. You enroll a founding cohort and you go through the co-creation process of your program together. So I did that, very quickly within the same month of booking out my business. And I was like, and I think, the higher powers like that I was invested in mentorship. So I knew, I already had kind of the idea of like, how do I scale this business and, time leverage. So I brought on, after I booked out the founding cohort, immediately after that, I brought on the first co-coach for the program. And she would do a bit of coaching, but also she would do, pull the daily job opportunities that we post in the job board and some of the admin stuff to just free up my time because I was still working as a VA as well. And then the shift out of VA work and just into coaching happened, I would say about 4 months into finding the VA industry and, launching Mom to VA. And it was purely because the coaching part, it was starting like the money was starting to compound the income. And it felt so expansive and exciting that, earning $30 an hour as a VA just didn't make sense. It was not the best use of my time. I still do offer like high level one-off funnel build outs, sales pages, landing pages, all of that, but I don't do hourly VA work anymore.
Well, and I think that that's part of what you teach, right? It's like if you want to become someone whose time is worth more than $30 an hour, then even if it's an easy $30 an hour to be getting, you have people that are seeking you out. Eventually, we have to start saying no to things because they don't align with what our future self is calling us forward to, right? So I'd love for you to offer some insight to anyone listening who's like, I don't know if I'm ready to hire. I'm not earning a lot in my business yet or anything at all, but I do feel like I'm spinning my wheels and spending a lot of time doing things that aren't necessarily generating revenue. So what advice would you give to those coaches?
I love this. Okay, first I would say go read the book 10x is easier than 2x because it will give you context to this conversation and will just change the way you think about business and your time. But what I would say is as soon as you have monetized parts of your offer, hire immediately. Immediately. And here's what you if you aren't aware of this is when you hire VAs, you don't have to hire them full time. You don't have to hire them 20 hours a week. You don't have to even hire them 10 hours a week. You could hire a VA for 2 hours a week at $20, $25 an hour USD to take over some of the things that you dread in your business that sucks your energy and your joy dry, that you're like, oh, I don't even want to do this. Like, I know I have to. Like, for example, if tech is not your jam and building an automation or a funnel takes you 5 hours, do you realize you could hire a VA that could have it done in an hour? And it's just like kind of thinking in that terms of context is how you're spending your time is also how you're spending your money. And the stuff that's not your jam, someone could do in a third of the time, whereas you can go like show up, in the business that does generate money or does impact your students. Like the reason you started your coaching business probably wasn't to build funnels. It was probably to coach students, and having support team allows you to be in that part of your business that you love, the reason you started it in the first place.
Yeah, for sure. And so I'll be vulnerable. I'll share what has been going on behind the scenes in the Bold Life movement. I reached out to Bre, like 2 months ago to get her insight on how to bring on a VA. And bless Bre, she sent me back a list of questions to help me figure out like what are the areas of my business that I don't find joy in? What are the things that someone else could be doing so that I could focus on something else? How much time am I spending on each of these things? And yet there still is like some sort of resistance that I come up against around training someone, a fear of wasting money, a fear that I could still do it, quote unquote, better, etc. So what kind of coaching do you give to people like me who are probably listening to this being like, I have the same thoughts?
Yes, I love that. I think that's such a human feeling, especially for, your business that you've created with your hands and your heart. And you're like, this is my baby. I love this. And like the voice is me, it's like the fear of outsourcing. Is it going to lose its touch, its magic, its spark? So absolutely, like, never, for you and anyone who's listening, never shame yourself or feel guilty for feeling that way. It's so human. I think one of the really special parts about the VA industry and finding the right VAs, which if you need help, of course I could help you find the perfect VA, but is that these, like the people who are VAs really care about being VAs. It's not a job to them. Like they, just as much as you choose them, they choose you. And, it's like, I think about the moms in my community who have gone through my program, like it is the biggest gift and blessing to them to be able to do this, that they still get to be home with their kids and have that flexible schedule. So I think some of it is just finding the right VA. And then I think also we're so wired when we think of like, having someone like a business support person is like thinking corporate and like this long, like training lead way. And like, it's going to take a month to get them up to speed and, they're going to have to train forever and you're not going to see this like impact in your business right away. But with VAs, like literally you could get started today and have them doing like taking over tasks today that drain your joy. And there's like, so here's just a tip too. If you do not enjoy like a certain task and you want to outsource it, but you're not really sure of like, how to get someone up to speed, record yourself doing it on Loom or Zoom and just talk it out loud of like, I'm doing this and then I'm doing this, then I'm doing this. When you hire the right VA, you can literally give them that video they can write the SOP for it, and then they just follow your process and they ask you any questions, all of that. So it's a really easy way to like make sure, things are still done to your standard and how you want them to be done. I think it's just, you pick the right VA, and also I think there's something special about VAs. Like, they care about your business just as much as you do. Like, they want, and just the same, like you want someone in your business for years, like they want to be there too. They want to help your business grow, and it's that value fit too. Finding someone who cares about your mission and movement. Like, they're in it for life alongside of you.
Will you give our listeners some examples of different tasks that a newer coach might want to outsource, or that they typically do outsource?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's several, but something that comes to mind right off the bat is community management. So if you have a Facebook group, for example, the VA could approve group requests. They could send welcome messages to new members. They could create the welcome post and welcome in new members. They could also moderate like comments, answer questions in the Facebook group. And then also like engagement on social media, like when people comment, making sure they're on top of that. The other thing is, if you are working with some clients, like helping with the contracts, the onboarding and the offboarding process, like manning the your email. So any like client questions that can be easily answered, they can take care of those. And obviously they would flag you for more important things. One of my right hands, I held on to my email for a while, probably for the same reason that you shared. But I just was like, Mel, I need help. There's like hundreds, if not thousands of like unread emails. And so she got it down to inbox 0. And I'm like, I feel like I can breathe again.
Wow.
So it's, stuff like that. It's just invaluable.
That's pretty legit.
Yeah.
Okay, so looking at your journey from becoming a VA to becoming an agency owner, coach, trainer, teacher, all the things, and a 7-figure earner, there's a lot of expand, contract that must have been consolidated down to a very short amount of time, because it sounds like it happened in a matter of like 2 years. So walk us through that journey, and what are some things that people can expect as they do reach those like next levels in their business and inevitably have to like break through who they currently are?
Definitely. So I really think that one of the most important things is your state of being, and like really calibrating on not who you are today, but who, like, close your eyes, hand on your heart. Who do you see yourself as you're leading and running the company that you want to build? Like, what is she wearing? What is she doing? What is she saying? Like, how does she show up? What's her energy like? And like journaling on that and sitting in that. And it's like, the more vivid you can imagine and daydream, like, what is this reality? Who is this person? What do you do when you're not working? All of that. And pull that into your day now. I think that is so massive. It's like, the difference between internal and external motivation. If you're chasing the dollars or the external things, that motivation is going to go away, or it's going to be hollow. It's like starting a new workout routine, and on day 4, you're like, F this. Like, I'm not getting up at 6 a.m. But when you're so intrinsically led and you're showing up from that place, it's like the fear and the hard work just becomes irrelevant, because you're doing it for a reason so much bigger and so much greater than you. I love, like, Andrea Crowder. She's one of my favorites. And she always talks about building an emotional signature and like weaving that into your body. So it's like bringing in the 5 senses of your future state, and like, just like letting that like be the emotional signature of your body and your day to day. Something else that I will say, like, having been in direct sales, that's really helped now, is having a thick skin. Like, there is stuff that comes up with business, clients aren't always happy. Like, having questions come up, and just like leading from that leadership. No, I see. Leading from that leadership space. Sure. Sorry.
That's okay.
Interruptions. That
Running,
gets to be
running a
life, though.
business from home. This is how it goes.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's like you normalize, you can have young kids and you can build a massive business. You get to do it alongside them.
Heck yes.
Yeah. Yeah. But just, it's like not like understanding that it's business and to not take everything personally. And especially like as you're helping people unravel their own, beliefs and imposter syndromes, like people project, and just learning not to personalize that. And when you lead from this space of like a movement and a mission so much bigger than you, I think people also feel that it's like, a mirror, everything, like our perception is mirrored back to us.
Totally.
So keeping your state high really helps, but just knowing, there's going to be weird situations that come up, people's projections, and, just kind of holding that leadership space, not taking it personally, like this is business, and, boundaries, standards, and also holding space for people and where they're at.
Yeah, I think the ownership piece is really big. Like owning the desires that you have, owning that the dreams you have are meant for you, owning every step that you take along the way. And people who either don't get it, don't support it, don't understand it, whatever, they're going to fall away, and that's okay. But as long as like you can stay connected, like you said, to that emotional signature of what is pulling you forward to your future self, then the day-to-day is going to be easier and not as like tumultuous.
Absolutely. It's so true. I always say that when you're calibrated to that, the work doesn't feel like work. It feels like purpose.
Totally. I was having this conversation with some girlfriends the other day. I've been quote unquote working a lot lately, and, finding a hard time doing that balance thing people talk about. And I told them, I was like, I don't really care. Like, I'm so into this season of my life. And I recognize that there will be moments when I need to make sure I get exercise or make sure I get sunlight or, eat healthfully so a burnout does not become inevitable. But I also love what I'm creating. And I love the product at the end of the creation process that is really pulling me towards it. And so just recognizing that like your own why and your own desires are going to be enough to like give you that fuel sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, it's like your life's work. Let it fuel you. And it's like, maybe we need to even not call it work. Like it's our life's purpose.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. One of the things that I see most 7-figure, if not 8-figure entrepreneurs and coaches have in common is their willingness to invest in their own mentorship. So I'd love to hear some of the shifts that you experienced, whether it was a particular thing that a mentor taught or a strategy that you implemented in your business because you learned it from a mentor. What were some of the big shifts, all due to mentorship?
Everything. I'm a huge fan of mentorship. Gosh. Okay. So in the fall, I had hit, I'd hit my first 30K month, and, immediately I'm like, oh, let's go to 100K months, and, starting to work on that. Right. I know, we're just going to skip all that stuff in the middle. But again, it's like that state of being, because, I didn't go from 30K months to 100K months the next month, but immediately it was like, who is Bre of 100K months? What does her business look like? What changes do I need to make in my programs, my structures, my boundaries to be a match for that? And I made those immediately. And started showing up as the 100K month business owner. But one of the things that I really learned in that scenario was when you get to the point where you have a proven offer, you have consistent income, then it's about the 1% tweaks. So it's not like you're looking for someone to like fix all the things, or like, something's broken and you need to like wreck everything down to get to your next level. It's literally about 1%, tiny little tweaks. But if you think, I'm sure you've heard this analogy of like, there's like the angle and you literally like change it 1 degree.
2 millimeter
like,
shift.
Yeah, exactly. And I started working with this mentor, and we made just some very small tweaks to Mom to VA, including like updating the payment processor and, a couple other small things. And it was like, I think, 1 month later, it was like from 30K months, like, oh, there's the 50K month. And then it's like, oh, there's the 80K month. So yeah, just like recognizing that as you get to that consistent place, then it's not about like these massive shifts and changes, but these little tweaks that make all the difference.
Mm-hmm. So I'm a very visual person. I'm also a very linear person. I love when people pull back the curtain and say, like, this is exactly what it takes to have an 80K month, to have a 50K month. Because I think that a lot of, especially new coaches, could be listening to this and be like, how were you coaching all day, every day? Like, were you charging $10,000 an hour? What does that look like? So are you willing to share what the breakdown of a 50K or 80K month looks like?
Yeah, absolutely. So two things that go into play here. One is recurring revenue, and I can like break that down and talk about what mine looks like. The second is continuity. And that is exactly why so the first, okay, so I'm just going to dive into it. Let's start with continuity. So when I first launched, before it was Audacious, which is a 12-month mastermind, I launched it as a program called Million Dollar Mom. And it was like this one-time program, and then you're done. And I realized that there was a flaw in that of like, one, it takes time to build, like in Audacious, our calibration is 50K months. I'm like, you can't do that in just like 12 weeks. Like,
right.
You need a runway, implementation, the 1% tweaks, all of that. So I shifted that into Audacious, which is a 12-month mastermind. But the cool part on like the business side is its continuity, because I offer a pay in full discount, and I have people do that, like 10K pay in full, or they can break it out month by month. And I have that recurring revenue that is then locked in for a year. And I've also been, here's another piece to that too, is time leverage. This is huge, because you had said, like, are you just coaching all day? I've been very intentional about time leverage. So Mom to VA, for example, I lead coaching calls in there, and we provide one-to-one messaging support. So every single student is paired with a one-to-one accountability coach. But that's not me. But they're women who've gone through the program and freaking knocked it out of the park. So they understand the process, they understand how to book clients, how to work with clients, all of that. So the one-to-one support in Mom to VA is my students who crushed it and are now coaching in the program. And then,
Genius.
some of them have started leading some of the coaching calls too, which is really cool, because then it frees up my time to over deliver in ways that my students aren't even expecting. So we're adding in like bonus workshops and, experiences and retreats and all the things like that. And for Audacious, my mastermind too of time leverage is we have 2 workshop days a week where I'm coaching and supporting them, available for any questions, but it's in a group forum. So I get to, be there with them all day, but it's not, scrambling from, student to student, one-to-one. And then they can do a one-to-one upgrade if they'd like, but we have like group calls, all of that. So it's set up, Audacious is set up where my time is not capped, and, it can continue to grow and support more students. And, maybe down the road, it's even like, one of my rock star Audacious students comes in to help co-coach it as well. And then also hiring too for time leverage. So even for the agency, we just launched in January, and we've monetized the offer. We've had, 3 people officially enroll into the agency in January. And so now we're using some of that income to hire a client success manager who will help with like the onboarding process of new clients and all of that. And it's like, goes back to that book, 10X is easier than 2X, of like, you as the coach and the leader, you stay in the top 20% of your business.
Yeah.
Anything that can be outsourced or delegated, like do that immediately so that you can continue to innovate and create and evolve with the business. And then, so recurring revenue too is huge. So we talked about like Audacious, how when people enroll, that locks in every single month, recurring revenue for me. And, right now, I think my recurring revenue is $28K a month. So I have that locked in every single month. All of my expenses are covered just from recurring revenue. So any new enrollments every month is pure cash and profit.
Amazing.
Yeah. And so trying to think. Yeah. So like, recurring revenue is huge. And like, if you're thinking in the context of like, you're just starting out in business, payment plans are amazing for that. And, it's like the first month, say you launch your program and you enroll 5 students, 2 of them are pay in fulls. Pay in fulls are fabulous. 3 of them are payments. Amazing. Yeah. That means you have that income locked in. And then you can imagine the next month you enroll 5 more students, and suddenly you have the 3 months or the 3 students from the month prior is stacking now, and it starts stacking quickly. And suddenly it's like, 5 months in and you have your 8K months like locked in just in MRR. There's your 100K year. And then it's like, it just keeps stacking. So that's what I would say is like, don't shy away from payment plans. Because it stacks really quickly and then you get that MRR locked in. And that's, I would say that combined with continuity, combined with time leverage is how you scale quickly.
And then in terms of offering like a year-long mastermind, I'm really trying to like paint the picture for people that don't know yet what the future of their business could look like. So this is what I'm hearing is that you have like an evergreen or open enrollment model, right? Someone can opt in for 12 months with you in the Audacious Mastermind at any time. How do you structure that given that you're going to have people at different levels inside the container?
Yeah. Okay. Great question. And that is an important note. Every single one of my programs is open enrollment, evergreen. I don't like for me, what I found is when I like open and close door, it tweaks with my nervous system.
Yeah,
it's like this like pressure and like, oh. So I just have open enrollment, but how I've set it up, for Mom to Be and Audacious, they can hop in at any time. The curriculum is all self-paced. So they can jump in, take themselves through the program. And then like for Audacious, ask any questions, and the group coaching calls too, ask any questions like wherever you're relevant to. And, the cool part about being in the room, if someone comes in on day 1, it's their day 1, and someone else is like on month 10, is they get to see what's possible and to learn from them and calibrate that identity and state of being. And like what I would say too, is there is some messaging, like Audacious is for a certain person. And so that too is like kind of making sure that aligns before they go in. So they're not like this, like what is going on? And this is not the right space for me. This is way too advanced.
Yeah. How do you position a 12-month offer for people that are used to seeing these like 12 weeks, 8 weeks, 28 days to blah, blah, blah. Like people are so programmed for instant gratification now. I'm curious if there's anything specific you did to enroll people in the 12-month idea.
Yeah. Yes, that's a great question. So I think, one, it's a mastermind. And I think because it's scaling to 50K months, like most people know that doesn't happen overnight. It can definitely happen in a year's time. Absolutely. If you're plugged in and, follow the strategy that I just shared about MRR and time leverage and continuity. But so I think some of that too is just the awareness. Like most people are like, I'm not going to start a business and then next month be at 50K months. But also I think, it's like the storytelling piece too of just sharing my own journey, and like people saw this all unfold for me. And I've always been quite an open book, and like anyone can do this. Yes, you have to show up, and like, yes, you have to plug in, and yes, you have to drop fear, but like anyone can. And I think that's my passion, is like, I started like from ground zero, like with 3 young kids at home, like literally you can do this. And I want to be the one to help you. And I think people just feel called to rise when you speak, from that energy of just like, look what I did, and like, look what you can do too. This is what's possible. And I want to help you do this. And, just, like taking them along for the journey and the ride.
I also think that people underestimate the connections that can be formed when you do invest in your mentors. I mean, one of our mentors is hiring one of the students in the program that we're in to come along as the photographer for our retreat. It's like, what a great opportunity. Your former mentor partnered with you on this agency model. And so really just like trusting your vision enough to keep putting yourself in the game and keep taking action, and trusting the process and how everything's going to unfold in its divine timing.
Absolutely. And I think you're so spot on. It's just like the intangibles of getting in the room. Like you never know who you're going to meet, what opportunities are going to unfold. Like, my coach from almost a year ago, now we have a business together. And like, I've met my best friends, like truly, because it's like, I think you could totally agree with this. Like, we're kind of crazy to like normal, like people that have 9 to 5s. They're like, no, like what? No. But then when you're in this room of other people who are like, let's go to the moon and we're going to build a 7-figure business. And you're like, oh, I see you. Like we're this like kindred spirits, all of that.
We're the same kind of crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I left my corporate job in 2013 when I didn't know anyone else who owned a business and just like fell into the world of entrepreneurship. And I think that it can become really easy to start thinking of that as the new normal, especially now with Instagram, like the prevalence of digital nomad work from anywhere culture is much stronger. But most of the world is not living this life. Most of the world doesn't give themselves permission to have an extraordinary life. So when you speak to the people who are wanting that and you do it unabashedly and audaciously, then they're going to flock to your energy if you're being an embodiment of it. So freaking go for it.
Freaking
you have
go
nothing
for
to
it.
lose.
Just do it. Yes. Go all in. Like you deserve to live the life that you want to live. Like why not now?
Exactly. What words of wisdom or encouragement would you leave for our brand new coaches who are listening to this?
I want you to know that everything you've gone through in your life, all of your experiences, your wisdom, your knowledge, like what you feel called to share, it's there for a reason and it's there for a purpose. And it's time for you to start sharing it and to trust that everything that you have, everything that you've seen, everything that you want to share is exactly what you need. And to really dial back into your own self-trust and your own intuition. Like, you can follow the perfect strategy, but there's no perfect strategy except for what aligns with you and what feels alive for you, what's congruent for you. And that's what's going to blow up your business. So really trusting your experience, trusting your voice, trusting your intuition, and moving on that. When you're like, you listen to this podcast episode and you're like, oh, I want to do this. Go do it. Go do it right after this episode.
Yeah. Don't wait.
Yeah. You don't need to be an expert. You're an expert in your own life, what you've gone through, your experience. You have everything that you need to go build your 7-figure business.
I love that. Bre, where can we follow you? Where can people get more information about Mom to VA and Audacious and all the things?
I love it. Come find me on Instagram. My handle is @hey, H-E-Y. It's Bre Cain. So HEYITSBRECAIN. Come pop into my DMs, say hi. I want to chat with you. We can voice message. I want to hear what resonated with you, what landed, any questions. So find me there. And then I do have like my link in bio has all the goods. But we can also chat and see where you're at, where you want to go, and what's the best route for you to help get you to those 7 figures.
Amazing. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your inspiring story. It's really incredible to see over the course of the 7-figure series, just how many different paths there are to prosperity. And, any dream that anyone has who's listening to this right now, trust that it's meant for you. Bre is a perfect example of that. And just know we're here to support. Thank you so much, Bre.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the Profitable Coach podcast. If you like it, do me a huge favor. Hit the subscribe button, leave us a review on your podcast app of choice. I really, really love knowing that this information is landing. You guys are getting value out of it. And if you want to get access to our special offer that we have going just for this 7-figure series, then head over to theprofitablecoach.com/032 where you'll get access to that resource along with everything else that we mentioned in today's show. Know that there are incredible episodes coming down the pipe, and I can't wait to keep connecting with you and helping you to grow your profitable coaching business. Sending you guys so much love.